What's up, guys? Welcome to Behind the Lens, episode 5. My name is Andrew, and I'm an independent videographer and owner of AAO Media. Today is no different than any other episode, as I have another great guest in store. Without further ado, let me introduce to you business owner, former amateur MMA fighter, and the founder, owner, and matchmaker of the newest MMA promotion in Michigan, Two Piece Promotions, with his event coordinator, Chad Kuhn. Coming off their inaugural event this past Saturday at the Wexford Civic Center in Cadillac, let me welcome to you, Zach Howe.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you, Zach?
I'm doing all right.
Nice, nice. It's really cool what you and Chad are doing with this promotion, giving fighters another opportunity, bringing MMA to this part of Michigan for the first time in years, really. Tell me a little bit about what made you start this promotion and what your goals are moving forward with it.
Yeah, so like you said, I used to be an amateur fighter, and my last fight, I tore something in my shoulder, and I had to do a bunch of construction work, and I figured this just isn't something for me long term, but I still want to be a part of the scene, so I thought, what better way than to start my own promotion? And being a former fighter, I know what the fighters want versus, a promoter that hasn't been around. I feel like I have a good start, a good base, and being with Chad Kuhn, he's well connected. Definitely want to be able to do this without his help. So shout out to him. I appreciate that. And yeah, so that's pretty much just what got me started. I want to stay involved but not fight.
Absolutely, man. As I was saying, this past Saturday, you had your first event. It was a great turnout. The house may not have been completely full, but it was definitely packed. Every camera angle I looked in, there was fans in the background cheering, so that's always good.
Yeah, I was definitely
So
happy with that.
how do you feel about the outcome of the show, and what are some things that you learned and plan to improve on next show?
So I was really happy with the outcome. Actually, more people showed up than I anticipated. I was kind of like last second panic advertising a lot on Facebook. Some things I'd like to improve on the next show is have um have more supplies for the fighters back room. I forgot a couple ice bags and stuff like that. Just small adjustments. Everybody pretty much said it was a smoothly ran show, but at the same time, I like constructive criticism. So I asked everybody on the staff and the fighters what they would want, and I got a little list of corrections I'm going to make for the next show. So.
Very nice. On to the fights. You definitely had some bangers. 8 out of 11 of the fights ended in the first round. We had a head kick TKO, a submission in the first 12 seconds, a couple heavyweight clashes, and just a lot of talent put on display by these athletes. If you have a performance of the night and knockout of the night award, who would that go to? And if you don't want to answer, I can share mine.
So we actually asked about that, and if they were professional, I would have definitely gave them the knockout of the night. Knockout of the night, in my opinion, would have been Oliver with the head kick. That was just well timed. You can hear his corner say head kick, and he delivered. You watch the video and hear the corner, and it was like almost like a video game. His coach was like head kick, and it landed clean. Boris did have a really really nice right hand, and he took down Trenton, but I would have to give it to Oliver for sure. Fight of the night would absolutely have to be Lucas. That was a heavy fight, a heavyweight fight, and it was just a dog war. It went all 3 rounds. It was very nice. That one I was really happy with.
Yeah, it was basically the same for me too. I did have Boris, I think, for the KO, but
Yeah.
I mean, him and Oliver, both the head kick and just the Superman punches from Boris. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
They're both really good. Um, so now there were a few bouts that were heavily contested by the crowd as early stoppages. Can you give me
Yes.
your thoughts on that and explain to the fans the position the referee is in when making these calls?
So the rule is 7 unanswered strikes. Unanswered strikes is like something that's not intelligently defending. This is not intelligently defending. One of them was Jerry Looney. When the video came back, I reviewed it, and at first I had the same reaction as the crowd, like it was stopped a little early. And those guys are here to fight, so let them go after it. However, we did have Ben as his first time reffing. He was shadowing Vance, and if you look, he landed a knee. I believe it was 2 elbows and then 5 strikes. So it was more than 7. It was a technical knockout, but you know, for the fans, we are here to fight. It could have got lasted a little longer, but being the first time ref, 7 strikes, he was in there, fighter safety, that's what comes first. So however, I do believe the Cornell Jordan fight, that one was stopped a little early. I can agree with that. 100%. I had a few fans say fight number 8 with Baker Hadwan and Elicio Vargas. That one I completely disagree on. That was a clean stoppage. That guy was not going to improve his position whatsoever. He was fighting a dominant wrestler. He was flattened out. The gentleman had his hooks in. And reviewing the video, I think if anything, he was being nice. He could have landed some bombs, and he realized that his opponent was not on the same skill level, and he love tapped him and did 10, 12, 15 strikes I counted and got pulled off. So I believe that was a clean stoppage.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then being a first-time ref in there and having all that pressure on you, I
Yeah.
mean, you want to just look out for fighter safety rather than what the fans are saying. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's closer than anybody, so.
Yeah, so let's talk main events. First off, you had Lucas Armand versus Jonathan Martin in the co-main, which was an excellent fight that we both agreed on as fight of the night. Lucas was a past guest of my show, and I've watched his rise as an amateur, so it was cool seeing him have that success in his pro debut against a very well-rounded opponent in Jonathan Martin. In the end, Armand was victorious via unanimous decision. In the cage after the fight, you signed Lucas's gloves for him to have as he follows his path of success to the UFC, which was pretty awesome, by the way. I can see him doing great things.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that fight, and can we expect Lucas to be competing for a two-piece again in 2025?
If could have it my way, I would have Lucas compete as many times as we can have him. He's very respectful. He's well-rounded. Good competition, like we were saying. And his opponent he was a test, in my opinion. So he's definitely ready for the pros. And like you said, we've seen Lucas rise up through the ranks of the amateur, and I know he was wanting to fight that number one heavyweight, and he couldn't get that match to happen, so he went pro. And in my opinion, I think he's tracking that win down. He wanted that amateur fight, and I think that's going to be the mission for him as a professional and just rising through the ranks. In the top 10, you have a lot of records that aren't winning records. So Lucas has a good possibility of climbing to number one in the future. I can see that happening. I was happy to sign Lucas's gloves. I hope one day we get to see him, make it big, and I can see my little two-piece gloves on the wall somewhere. That'd be sweet.
For sure, man. And finally, we got to talk about the main event. It was Adam the Wildman Kerr versus Eric Vo. That was unfortunately stopped quick due to an eye poke by Kerr as Vo entered the pocket. It was just 8 seconds into round one. It was tough to see it at the time, but after looking over the footage, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
These things happen in MMA frequently, unfortunately. Is this a fight that you're wanting to run back in February, or are we moving on from this one?
I believe we're moving on from this one. And the gentleman came up from out of state. He did what he had to do. He showed up. Like you said, it was an accidental eye poke. And he was asked if he wanted to continue. He was given the respectful time and asked if he wanted to continue fighting, and he chose not to, which is 100% understandable. He sent me a picture the next day, and you can see a clear imprint of someone's fingernail in his eye. So and it was unfortunate as a main event. Everybody wanted to see the main event happen, myself included, but it is what it is. And I think moving forward, hopefully we can have Adam as a main event again. And I have a few opponents in mind. We'll see if they answer back. We want to have them February 8th.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'd love to see him fight. In conclusion, I'm really looking forward to that event on February 8th by Two Piece Promotions. We will be up in their production as always on the video, and I'm pretty sure you got a belt or two up for grabs. Any spoilers or announcements yet on the fights or fighters competing on that card? Or is it too far out to say?
I know that we got Max Dudek. He is Maximus Dudek is 3-3 as an amateur, and he's going to be competing for the 155-pound belt. We have an opponent in mind. We're talking to the coach right now to make that agreement. We're going to be purchasing 5 other belts, and we're hoping to have at least one, maybe 2 more on this next show. The idea is to have 2 or 3 championship fights on this next show, and then we're trying to make our August show really stacked so we can have, hopefully more than 3 championship fights on one show. I think that'd be nice, especially during the fairground time.
Yeah, man, you're really getting things going. It's going to be exciting to see those championship matches and getting some official two-piece champions.
Yes, sir.
So I can't wait. It's been an awesome being a part of this show. I'm looking forward to the events in the future and watching Two Piece Promotions make its rise. Thanks for talking with me, Zach. Have a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. Thank you.
See ya. All right, guys. Thanks for listening today. Remember, the full show for Two Piece Promotions War at the Wex is out on YouTube. Just search Two Piece Promotions and keep an eye out for the individual fight highlight reels on Facebook and Instagram in the coming weeks. Make sure to follow both myself and Two Piece Promotions to get the latest updates. Ending on that note, we will be back next week with another great guest that has been behind the AAO lens to talk about their past, present, and future endeavors. Peace.